We're talking trade rumors today on NFL Daily. We're going to discuss latest on Mr. Big Neck, Tyreek Hill, Micah Parsons, Terry McLaurin, and Breece Hall, all coming up here on NFL Daily. If you want even more NFL YouTube videos, like this one, that way it's more likely to be shown in your feed, shown to other people, and lets us continue to keep the lights on here at Chat Sports. So help us out by liking today's video. Let's begin with Tyreek Hill. ESPN's Jeremy Fowler blame/credit for this latest round of trade rumors. He got them going with this comment he made on, I think it was Get Up. No, it's NFL Live, excuse me. Fowler said, his status is uncertain now with an oblique injury. As for when he gets back in lineup, is still up in the air. Right now, I have talked to a few teams that are at least monitoring his future a little bit. Could he be a potential trade target? Now, I know the Dolphins earlier this summer were telling teams, no, we're not trading Tyreek Hill, but they just, wonder, is he going to be available? It could be wishful thinking. Maybe they want him to be available. But he's a player that when I bring up the teams and say, who's sort of a trade target you're watching, they bring up Tyreek Hill. So we'll see. He's a big option for Tua, and that'd be a major move if they did move away from him. Ignoring the issues with Miami being willing to trade away Tyreek Hill as they kind of have some jobs on the line to an extent, I think there are big issues from other teams' perspectives in potentially acquiring Tyreek Hill. Right now, his cap hit is $28 million. It's a lot of money. That's for the Dolphins. If they were to trade him right now, because we're post-June 1st, they'd save a little under $15 million. That is actually what the new cap hit is as well for teams. But the new cash that team would owe is $27.65 million. So at minimum, you're going to give him $27.65 million to play one season for you. That's a lot. Now, that number kind of gets rolled into 2026, but the new cap hit for the new team in 2026 is almost $40 million. And you'd have $12.68 million in dead money if you did cut him. So it's either 1 year at 27 or we're letting this number get up to, well beyond, 2 years, 50. It just gets really expensive if you want to trade for Tyreek Hill, who always seemingly has something going on with him off the field. There's always something going on with Tyreek Hill. He's a 31-year-old speed-focused wide receiver. You do worry a little bit about the wheels starting to fall off at that age, to where I don't think the trade value would actually be very high if they did move him. So the pinned comment on today's show, what is the % chance the Dolphins actually trade away Tyreek Hill? Let me know in the comment section of today's show, what is the % chance the Dolphins trade away Tyreek Hill? Let's go to Micah Parsons and where things sit on the most notable trade request currently lingering out there. Adam Schefter, saying he didn't really have any update on the Micah contract front. Jeremy Fowler maybe had one. We'll get to that in a little bit too. But here's what Schefter said. He issued his trade request roughly 10 days ago. There has been nothing that has transpired on a new contract since then. Nothing. Now, there was a report out of Dallas that Micah and Jerry had met for 4+ hours that kind of wasn't corroborated by anybody else, which worth mentioning but not confirming. Schefter also said, there's no deal in sight right now for Micah and the Cowboys, which is true. And the rest was kind of mostly non-updates of we got to talk about Micah today, Adam. It's tough for there to be an update if they aren't really negotiating anything. Schefter had hit on some previous ideas, like the Cowboys aren't going to trade him. They don't want to trade him, which, again, if they wanted to, they would have done that months ago. They've got 2 franchise tags if they want to go down that part. Jerry said he wasn't sure if Micah was going to play week 1, but he hadn't talked to Micah by then, so he couldn't know if he was going to play week 1. So it was kind of technical truth on that front in terms of will they trade him, won't they trade him in the end. So what will the Cowboys do with Micah Parsons? Let me know in the comments section of today's show. T for trade, K for keep. Now, ESPN's Jeremy Fowler has an update here. He said at least 5 to 6 teams would be interested, but a trade is also unlikely because, obviously, right? Here's what Fowler said. I'm told there are at least 5 or 6 teams interested if Dallas was even willing to do it, including possibly in their own division, by the way. Commanders. But Dallas has shown no willingness. The cough was me, by the way, not Fowler's quote. Dallas has shown no willingness to move him. I haven't talked to anybody in Dallas who expects him to be outside of the team this year. When this gets aggregated, the headline is 5 to 6 teams interested, not nobody thinks he's going to get traded, because that doesn't drive as many clicks in the end. We'll mention both because that's what context is. In the end, I've seen this story before for the Cowboys. I saw it with Zeke Elliott. I saw it several times with Dak Prescott. I just saw it last summer with CeeDee Lamb. I think it all plays out the way that it's happened before. The Cowboys get the deal done. They just get it done late and cost themselves millions of dollars. Again, which is how they always do it. And until that doesn't happen on a contract of this type, the Cowboys actually stick to their guns and don't pay him, or they trade somebody like that, I'm not going to change the expectation. In the end, it's just the same old crappy business being done by the Cowboys, and it is a failure on behalf of the organization to not execute it properly. Folks, NFL hoodies are still on sale. They were $55. Now they are $33. All the different NFL teams are available, not just the ones we're showing here today. Get your hoodie at chatsports.com/NFL hoodie. Perfect as we get closer and closer to the return to fall. That link will be in the comment section and the description of today's show. That's chatsports.com/NFL hoodie. How about the Scary Terry updates here? This is the other notable trade request pending out there, ignored by others. This remains in a holding pattern as well. He was seen Tuesday, by the way, talking to GM Adam Peters. Might not mean anything, but is worth mentioning. Reportedly, there's a pretty massive gap here between what McLaurin is asking for and what the Commanders are offering and willing to meet, even though the GM said, we do whatever it takes, which clearly is not true. It's whatever it takes within the right price point, right? Here's what Jeremy Fowler reported. He has wanted metrics of the DK Metcalf contract, which is $32 million. I'm told the Commanders have only been slightly above where he was from before, which is $23 million. So take that gap, that's $7 to $8 million that they have to bridge. And Washington, I'm told, has gotten some calls about McLaurin. There's interest league-wide here. Despite that, I don't see a trade happening. If you're the Commanders and you've kind of built actually kind of an older-ish roster with a cheap young quarterback, you can't trade away the number one receiver for your team. That's horrible business. That's horrible team building. Deebo Samuel trade was fun. A receiving core of Noah Brown if he's healthy, Deebo Samuel, and Luke McCaffrey, Jalen Lane, KJ Osborne, or Mike Alpine. What are we doing out here? That doesn't work. I don't think a trade happens. The question is, when/if do they find middle ground? Does McLaurin say, you know what, F you, I'm just going to let this one ride out and we'll go from there? I don't know. We'll see. This one's going to be a tricky one as we wait this and let this one play out. So pick a side. Whose side are you on? A little bit more to come on this one. C for the Commanders, M for Terry McLaurin. Are you in favor of what the Commanders are offering? Does McLaurin deserve more? Let me know in the comments of today's show. C for the Commanders, M for Scary Terry. Let's dive into the latest on, or I should say, the contract side of this. I get why McLaurin wants DK Metcalf money. He has been just as good, if not better. Their numbers are extremely similar over the course of their career. Now, the difference is McLaurin's a couple years older because he was an older prospect coming out. Metcalf was a younger prospect coming out. So McLaurin is older. The Courtland Sutton contract, I think, is also a negative factor here because Sutton did not get very much money. Metcalf got $33 million. I get why he wants that. He wants maybe a little bit less than that. But, McLaurin's your one. And there are twos like T. Higgins getting paid. Now, he's younger, but two's getting paid $28 million. If the offer actually is around 25, I get why McLaurin goes, yeah, that's what Sutton got, but I'm better. I put up Metcalf number. You should pay me like Metcalf. Can you meet somewhere around 28? I think that's actually reasonably fair if they can find a way to balance that out. We'll be live every week here on NFL Daily on Tuesdays. So if you haven't already, hit that sub button, youtube.com/chatsportstv for more NFL updates. The latest rumor is on Breece Hall. Those are back. They were very popular around draft time of if the Jets draft somebody. They do come from Tony Pauline, who I want to mention this, and apologies if it upsets anybody, but the reality is of Tony Pauline's track record is it's kind of more murky at best. Like, he's got some hits. He was right on the Christian Wilkins foot injury stuff, but he also said Hendrickson would be traded, and the Patriots were going to take J.J. McCarthy, and the Raiders are going OT in round one. Called Matthew Golden to lock. There's some red flags there. But here's what he wrote on Breece Hall. People close to the situation speculate the Jets could move Hall by the trade deadline, then move forward with Braylon Allen as well as Isaiah Davis and draft back in 2026. Allen surprised everyone last season and played beyond expectations. In the end, this falls into the plausible category. Like, I could see that happening. Sure, that could happen. You also said it's speculation. Like, who are people close to the situation that would speculate on that? If it's not Jets front office sources, who cares? And if it is Jets front office sources, why are they talking about that? I think that's more like maybe other teams that follow the Jets. That's how a lot of information gets trafficked anyway. I got more thoughts on this, but will the Jets end up trading Breece Hall? Y for yes, N for no. Get those predictions in the comment section of today's show. Y for yes, N for no. Will the Jets end up trading away Breece Hall? Here are the stats from Hall over the past 3 seasons. Overall, pretty solid. The Jets' 2023 disaster was they tried real hard to get him to 1,000 yards and did their math wrong and did not do it quite right, and he ended up not getting there. The Jets overall as an offense had some issues last season. They didn't have a lot of success, but I do think it's worth mentioning that Breece Hall averaged 4.2 yards per carry. That's down. It's dropped each of the past 2 seasons, but it's over a half yard more than what Braylon Allen averaged. And I get that there's some love for Braylon Allen, but he wasn't that good last year, right? Like, he had a couple good runs. He ran hard, but the O-line was bad, but 3.6 yards per carry is not impressive. And I know it's only one stat, but like this idea that Allen was so good he's going to stay on the field wasn't the case last year. And Isaiah Davis actually did show a little bit of promising stuff. There were some, I think there were 2 long runs kind of juicing those numbers. Like the median carry wasn't nearly as good, but I kind of reject this idea that Braylon Allen was so incredible the Jets have to give him more playing time. They're going to run the ball a lot. Now, if they're bad come trade deadline time, then yeah, selling Allen could very well make sense.